episode of Huz Ghost Stories. As always, I'm Andrew Huzar from Huzar Reiki and Readings. I've got my paranormal enthusiast, Professor Alex Wheaton here again, and our research expert, Sean, back for another episode. In this one, we are going to be looking at Wintergreen Gorge, which for locals, you've probably been there. It is a very beautiful path of nature, a lot of different hiking areas,
Yes.
and home to one of the two famous Devil's Backbones in the area. Just like last episode, we're going to be focusing on any lore, legends, ghost stories. We're going to talk about them, talk about what we want and expect to happen, and then we're going to go there. But I'm going to go ahead and kick over to Sean to see what he dug up.
So, Wintergreen Gorge is located in Harborcreek Township and is a 6-mile-long canyon. This gorge was carved from shale and sandstone by the 4 Mile Creek over 11,000 years ago during the last ice age. The gorge gets its name from the large number of wintergreens that grow alongside it. This landmark is a popular haunt for hikers and has many user-created paths for hiking. One such trail is known as the Devil's Backbone, a narrow trail with steep drop-offs. That is the highest vantage point, looking 250 feet over the gorge.
And this site, like many locations in Erie, is subject to tales and legends. The most popular story of Wintergreen Gorge involves the eternal loyalty of a man and his best friend. The story is about a man named Tim who received a dog for his 10th birthday. Tim named the large black dog Dutch, and a lifelong friendship was formed. Tim and Dutch loved hiking through the trails at Wintergreen Gorge almost daily, and the two had many happy years together until, as all of our beloved four-legged friends do, Dutch passed away at the age of 14. Tim, losing the one true constant in his life, began a spiral ending with a tragic car accident that took his life. Not all paranormal activity is negative or evil, as people have told stories of seeing a young Tim walking the trails together with Dutch, disappearing as soon as they appear and reliving the happiest moments of their lives, together on the trails that they called home.
This leads to this very real. Wintergreen Gorge is a beautiful, but also a potentially dangerous place because of those drop-offs, because of a lot of factors. One of the things that we know about it is there is a swimming hole area that, depending on how high the water is that year, leads to average deaths down there. A lot of the county death numbers, we do have a decent number that are related to Wintergreen Gorge, just because, nature is unpredictable, and so it can be a dangerous place, but it is very beautiful. Even though Tim and Dutch did not die here, like I just said, people have. So if you do visit this site, as always, like we said with the cemetery, treat it with respect, but also remember to be safe yourselves, and make sure that if you do happen to see Tim, say hi and try to bring a treat for Dutch, because I'm sure all dogs, even ghost dogs, like a treat once in a while.
Oh, for sure. And for either of you, if you need to check it out, I did print out the full legend from Waymarking. It is 4 pages long, so it is quite the read. Sean's thing hit the nail on the head pretty well. One thing that amazes me before I dive into a couple of things I want to is Tim's dog was apparently a Newfoundland. 14 years old for a Newfoundland. That's
insane.
Old.
Yeah.
That's an old dog. So if he got him, pretty young, like around 10, like he said, until he's 24. The rest of it says, after that, his spiral included, drugs, rehab, all sorts of things. So, if you lose...
In and out of prison.
Yeah. So, you're talking 24 years old, he loses his giant, loving dog. That would definitely send anyone. Yeah.
So I'll say that the saddest part of the story, which I didn't touch base on when I did my paraphrase, is that went on for a year after Dutch's death, and then Tim actually got his life together, and he was engaged, and he went out drinking pretty much for a bachelor party, and he fell victim to his old indulgences and decided to drive and was killed in a drunk driving accident.
So, I mean, it definitely is a happy ending that he reunited with Dutch in the afterlife, and now they're just... People find it weird that he looks like a kid every time, but if that was the happiest time of his life, just as a kid walking with Dutch in the trails, that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, I say a lot of people talk about in death and the afterlife, it's the happiest time. It's not that you're
Right.
stuck wherever you were. It's unless a violent kind of death, which is a whole different thing. But yeah, you usually tend to be at that happiest point.
And that's us assuming that this is ghosts. One of the things that happens is a lot of times energy is left behind.
Yeah.
And that's positive or negative energy. And if Tim and Dutch were here almost daily, they were leaving their
14
energy
years.
there that entire time. So this could just be, basically an imprint left from
Yeah.
them.
And one thing that very well could be is when you look at a map of Wintergreen Gorge, if I can find a good one, I'll upload it to the video, but I probably won't be able to, there is one main path that goes up and down the gorge, and there are offshoots of smaller paths, but back then, it was probably only the main path.
Mhm.
So, I mean, if for 14 years him and his dog walked the exact same path, then for sure.
You're literally and figuratively leaving your imprint there.
Mhm.
And the one thing that astounds me, and I'll touch on it more in my hopes for what happens, but like the history of the gorge itself, like even in this, it talks about like you did from the Ice Age, that there were Indian war trails from the Seneca and the Erie's Indians, being a creek from the War of 1812. Like I imagine, like even like bodies and stuff could have flowed down the river. It is amazing that there is not more recorded paranormal activity outside of Tim and Dutch.
Yeah.
And that just blows me away because we looked at the cemetery, and even there it was pretty much the Black Dog, Witch's Circle, and the Vampire Crypt. For a smaller area that had like 3 main legends, this has 1. So
Right.
it like just astounds me.
Like Andrew and I were discussing, at the time of this recording, there was a death at Wintergreen Gorge roughly 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So
As I brought up, yeah, they're constant, and so it's interesting that there's not more.
Yeah, and I don't know if because of the area, like if it's just naturally purifying, or if like there are spirits there and they're just not as active. But I do, like, you would think with the history, because even this talks about how Barron's like archaeology program is there all the time, and they're still digging up
Mm-hmm.
arrowheads and artifacts. Like just the area, like it's crazy that this isn't a bigger deal.
I said, going back to, you mentioned that it was a Native American warpath. Why aren't there spirits of those individuals? Because that's, if it was a warpath that they used to travel to and from places, like there's bound to be some individuals that died. So why isn't their energy stuck there? So it's all just interesting thoughts on this.
once again, if it is such a purified place and there are no entities there, it leads more credence to the fact that maybe Tim and Dutch literally imprinted on this place from all of their activity and walking through there for days on end, years on end, better part of a decade and a half.
I wonder, just postulating off of that one, theirs was a positive imprint, and a lot of the people that die there, it's not a positive thing. So I wonder if it is a naturally purifying place and has a positive energy, if that's the reason that the only spirit energy that's ever detected is this positive one.
Ooh, I like that.
Just
Or,
thinking about that, yeah.
Tim and Dutch are patron saints or like
Like
Yeah,
spiritual
they're
caretakers almost.
guardians.
Yeah, making sure that it stays
That would
positive.
make sense. They loved it so much.
They
Yeah.
want to
In
keep
death,
it good.
maybe that's why they walk the path. Anybody that does die, there are any spirits there, they might
Lead
usher
on.
them.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey,
as we said in the first story that we talked about, black dogs are omens. Maybe he's, keeping people off of bad trails. Because one thing that goes on here, and one of the reasons why is so treacherous is it's shale and sandstone.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of this is constantly deteriorating,
Mm-hmm.
and these man-made trails will collapse a lot of times. So maybe they're walking on paths so people don't walk on those paths.
And one thing that I seemed like it wasn't something that was just like in one story, but it seemed like from any recounts of people who said they saw Tim and Dutch, for the most part, it seemed to be up near the Devil's Backbone, which I've never been there. I've been to the gorge. I've never been to Devil's Backbone, but apparently that's like the photo taking spot. Like it overlooks everywhere. So I don't know if that was like their favorite location or what, but it seems like a lot of the things I read is they're usually spotted walking to or from or around the Devil's Backbone. And so I'm definitely interested to actually check out the Backbone to see if we pick up on any vibes or anything there. But yeah, it's a happy story. A lot of questions raised by such a happy story, like, and just keeping out all the negativity. So I am very excited to get here. I think, as far as what I'm expecting, definitely to feel just like almost like cleansing and like the beautiful energy from nature itself. Because just being among all the trees, everything like that, it is going to have that feeling. Charlie is not a fan of the gorge because we made him go swimming there.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, Charlie. Riley loved it. As for what I hope happens, I obviously hope we see Tim and Dutch, and just like we said on the cemetery, even if it's, if we're flipping through our pictures afterwards or videos afterwards, if we catch something that we think is them, that'd be awesome. And I would really, as long as it doesn't set off the balance, I would love to capture any other ghostly phenomena there too. If it's meant to be this positive place, then obviously only positive spirits I want to catch on camera and stuff, but it would be interesting to see if there is really just Tim and Dutch there, or if there are others hanging out there. So those are definitely my hopes and expectations. What do you got, Sean?
So for me, once again, we find a stray dog here. It's going home with Alex. Its new name is Dutch too.
Dutch too. Electric Boogaloo.
But no, I agree. It'll be nice to check out the Devil's Backbone, see the view from there. I mean, if we see anything, great. But I agree. This is one, it's kind of a palate cleanse. I want it to be a peaceful thing. I don't want us to find anything negative. I mean, it'd be great for you guys if we found negative stuff. Thankfully, Andrew can probably, cleanse any of us that get any bad energy.
I would hope so.
But no, I'm looking forward to this one. It's a very positive experience.
And like, not to jump in front of you, Alex, I'll let you go, but like, this is probably the one place where I'd be okay if nothing happened.
Yeah.
If like nothing happened, just knowing the happy story of Tim and Dutch, like this is the one place where if we didn't see a single damn thing,
Still good.
yeah, I would take that as a win.
So yeah, very much kind of like as Sean said and as Andrew alluded to, my hopes and is just this positive energy, especially thinking about all the violent deaths that have happened there and realizing that the only recorded ghost story is this positive one. I fully anticipate not feeling a whole lot of negative energy, and so that's a positive. And as Sean said, it's always more interesting for someone, an outside observer, to see the negative. But like Andrew, if we don't see anything or really experience anything, that's still a win, because I would say this is definitely a good place to go.
Yeah, that means Tim and Dutch
Did their job, yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to get out there. Like I said, I'm still just blown away that there's not more history about the gorge.
We're talking painful, violent deaths. Then.
Yeah.
If they aren't falling to their death, they're drowning.
Yeah, those are not good deaths. So, as Sean did with the cemetery, he took the first stance on, the skepticism side. As far as Wintergreen Gorge is concerned, it is a natural nature area. This is a place that's been pretty much preserved. You still see wild animals. There's still issues of wild bears living in the area. Like, it's not a highly populated person place. It is a very large animal thing. So as far as the positive feelings that are usually associated with this, I would say, as the skepticism side, it's because it's this pure nature found close enough within a city that it's this oddity that feels really good. And I imagine that a lot of people that say they feel this kind of calm might be simply because it is a slice of nature within a larger city structure. Because, as we kind of said, one of the ways to access Wintergreen Gorge, one way is to go to Penn State Barron, which is a college campus, and the other one is off of Cooper Road, which is right off of East 38th Street, one of the busiest streets in town. So literally the two ways to access this place that are most popular are very popular, busy locations.
We're talking only half a mile.
Yeah,
hike.
it's not a long walk at all
And
to get to this pure nature.
the gorge itself is largely untouched.
Yeah.
Like, they just left it be, so I'm excited to get out there and see what we get.
Yeah.
Alright folks, we have made it to Wintergreen Gorge. We didn't find our exact trailhead that we wanted, but we found a second one. So we are in for a little longer of a hike, but as you can tell, it is pretty gorgeous out here. It puts the gorge in gorgeous. Eh? Eh? We are almost to the Devil's Backbone, we think. There's a sign with some graffiti up here. Huh. They said no rock climbing, though. So that puts a damper on your idea. I'm expecting somebody to say welcome to Jurassic Park as we're looking down there. This is beautiful. Oh, it is. You can see why Tim and Dutch would come here every day.
So even though our hike was further than anticipated, and most of it ended up being uphill, we did thoroughly enjoy the entire hike up towards the top of Wintergreen Gorge and the Devil's Backbone. The scenery was completely gorgeous all the way around us, and the energy from the trees and nature, everything was just fantastic. It was refreshing. We were feeling energized and happy. So even though we weren't encountering Tim and Dutch, we weren't encountering any paranormal activity or spiritual or ghostly activity, we still had a great time on this gorgeous hike up. For the first time hiking on the upper part, it was definitely enjoyable and lived up to all the hype.
Well, we have found the... oh, that's what it's here for. Devil's Backbone. Ah, there's branches in my face. Oh yeah. What if it's the guy with his dog that walked by us? So, you can definitely just see from the ground, definitely is just shale and sandstone. So, I mean, it is a trail across, so you can come here pretty easily. It was a hike from ours, but I wouldn't say it was too difficult, just all uphill. It is absolutely gorgeous. Yeah.
The Devil's Backbone had some gorgeous views all the way around. And what was the best part about it is the backbone itself was not surrounded by trees. Both ends of the path were back in the forest, but on the backbone you had the straight clearing where you could look out over the gorge and see so much. It was truly
gorgeous to be up on that backbone. I almost forgot why we were there, just because I was too busy taking in all the sights around us.
But when I was standing over there, like, yeah, the sun came out and I felt warmth, but here, standing here, I just felt the wind breeze and it felt cool, and even now that the sun is still out, I'm not feeling as much of the heat. And I don't know if that has to do with my physical location or my energies, but it definitely, it's a slight difference. It's not huge, it's not like, negative, but I feel more warmth there in that one spot than I do here. That's not to say this whole thing isn't peaceful, but
It feels like almost like a vacuum here
yeah.
in this spot.
That's why it's like I wanted to just test it. I wanted to make sure I wasn't crazy in thinking that. Like I said, that was just what I was feeling. It could be just my own personal stuff. But yeah, the closer you get to that side, the more warm it feels. But right here, it doesn't. Even though the sun is out, it's the same brightness, same intensity.
Yeah, I'll give you that. It does feel different. Alex brought up some great points of just the feeling of the center, so we decided to pull out the pendulum and give it a little test with that. The pendulum here, I'm just going to ask to show the energy flow. We've got a big, steady swirl to my left, picks up a little bit of speed, stop. I just want to stop it just to see how much the wind's blowing. It's not a lot. Show me the energy flow again. Those two. Check. Still to the left. Stop. Oh, good, my bag is still there. That was a real concern. Show me the energy flow here. We're going the complete opposite way. Similar arc, I'd say maybe the pendulum itself is coming a little higher. It definitely has that ovular shape. Wow. Show me the energy flow. Still going the other way here, and what's interesting is I feel like over here it would pick up higher than it would over here. So we're gonna show me energy. Yeah, it's coming up higher over that way, which is interesting. The wind's blowing that way. Yeah. So the energy flow in this spot is definitely different. Yeah. Than it was over there. We can test it up there too, but at least for here, your suspicions were correct in that this area is different. Better on this particular pole. Which I'd say it has the best view. Yeah, it definitely has the big broad 360 view. So, the one thing I will say, and this is grounding us, this is also the one section closest to electromagnetic fluctuation. So, and that's, yeah. But that's why in particular I was just very much
I felt it. I wanted to know if that was, just me or there was something else to it. I picked up a little rock here. I just want to see the energy from the rock. Show me the rock energy. Ooh. For emphasis, ladies and gentlemen, the wind is blowing this way. Show me the energy flow. Straight line for the rock. And it doesn't tell us much, but definitely that this spot has a different energy than the rest of the area. And as Sean said, if we're going with grounding, it very well could be because of electrical frequencies from the electricity. We do have the power lines above us, but something to just be known.
There's a temperature change here too.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because there's a slight
And that's why I said even down there
valley
on the path, it even goes a little bit lower, and even there it wasn't as cold as it is here.
Yeah.
So there's something about this one spot.
And with the sun behind some clouds right now, further up by the trees it's still warmer, which wouldn't make sense with it being shaded.
Mm-hmm.
But
So our tests came up showing a lot of different energy flows going on at the peaceful backbone. We didn't think we were experiencing anything paranormal. We didn't see Tim or Dutch, but the backbone was gorgeous. The energy was pure and fantastic. It revitalized us even more, and we decided it was time to turn around and head back for the car. We bid goodbye to the backbone, and we did make sure to say goodbye to Tim and Dutch. We were peaceful. I did put back the rock that I picked up for the test.
Walk down's definitely been a little better than the walk up.
it's awesome. When I first saw it, I was like, okay, I'll see if this is actually a nice download or if this is one of those I'm going to end up with.
The hike down, as I said, was definitely a lot better going downhill. And the forest seemed to be more alive with more life. We saw a lot more animals on the way back than on the way up. Don't know what to attribute it to, but it definitely was a different walk coming back. And interestingly too, with the walk back, it seemed pretty calm and tame. Like I said, there was a lot more wildlife around us than going up, but it also just was like a breath of fresh air, even though it was going down the same path. So it also just felt new and lively. We didn't think we were experiencing anything paranormal still. We hadn't seen any ghostly apparitions on the path at all, nothing that would resemble Tim or Dutch. But when I got home and was able to look through all these pictures, I did notice a couple interesting ones. First off, right here with Sean, looking by his leg and his arm, there are 2 orbs. Very close, walking almost in step with him. And in the next picture, which was taken right after, the orbs are pretty much in the same places. Elbow height and at hip height, which would be the height of a 10-year-old boy and a Newfoundland dog. Alright. So folks, we just finished our hike through Wintergreen Gorge. We were originally going to hit the Ohio lot trailhead just because it's a shorter distance, but we did pre-shack, and it was a little longer, but it was a good hike.
Yeah.
Definitely, when we got to... The whole way up was peaceful, but Devil's Backbone was definitely the most peaceful area,
Yeah.
I'd say.
Which leans towards our theory that maybe this is a protected place that's purifying, because didn't feel anything negative, like at all.
No, and I'm just going through my pictures now, but I don't recall seeing anything. I mean, of course, when I pull them up on a bigger screen, it might be a little easier. I don't recall seeing anything out there. Definitely did not see a Newfoundland walking around.
A lot of dogs.
Yeah, a lot of living dogs. None of them stray, so Alex did not get one.
The weirdest thing we definitely saw would have to be the when we hit Devil's Backbone, there was a person across the way that Andrew waved to, but they didn't wave back, so I don't know. It was weird.
They did not wave back to me at all. I'm a little mad about that.
Yeah. Must be one of those wombo people.
No, but I mean, definitely come out here. Definitely be respectful because it is a gorgeous hike.
Yeah.
Be careful when you get to the Devil's Backbone.
As we saw, it really is shale and sandstone, so it's...
You can see the erosion. It is not the safest. It's still, you can walk across it. Andrew and I walked across it. So it is possible. It's just, you want to be careful.
Yeah, and it is a wide enough path that you could walk side by side with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like a tiny path, but yeah, definitely don't go near the edges. When we were at the backbone itself, I was flipping through the pictures. You saw the video we put in there. Alex said that the middle of it roughly felt different. And so we all did confirm the same feeling there. We broke up the pendulum, and the energy flow in that spot was different.
Sean confirmed a temperature difference, even between shaded and directly in the sun, and the oddity that the sun was
directly on there. There wasn't any shaded part there.
And it was cooler than the shaded part, so that was definitely something a little weird, but
yeah. But no, overall, very peaceful,
Yes.
very positive location.
yes, even the oddity that is the temperature that we felt, it wasn't negative energy, it was just different.
Yeah, and what I noted was it was probably in the most picture X part of the backbone. Sorry for the noise. I'm just trying to switch over Hazel's.
He's trying to do a live review.
And Sean even pointed out that it is directly under a power line, so that could have had an effect on the energy, but as far as temperature is concerned, that's still an oddity. But
any electromagnetic field isn't going to change temperature.
yeah, it'll affect energy, but definitely not temperature, so that was the real oddity there. But
I hit the wrong.
Alex said hit the wrong button.
I did, I told you. I was pretty positive that I hit the wrong button.
That's why I almost dropped it. Let's see. Go back to the other one.
It should be right after the... There we go.
Yeah, that crazy bird.
One of several.
So interesting. We heard a lot of bird calls going up there, but
Not
until we were
coming
coming down, we didn't hear anything. But on the way back down, I saw a lot of wildlife.
Yeah.
I didn't see any going up.
I saw a falcon at one point in the trees.
And even watching back the videos, nothing's becoming like quickly apparent or flashing at all. So I mean, we may not have actually caught any evidence of anything, but that's okay. That's not our purpose here. But as far as experience, definitely super peaceful.
Yeah, very pleasant. It was a good hike. Beautiful day for it.
Yeah. I would definitely classify it as a purified area. I didn't get a tinge of any badness at any point at all. And I almost fell a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
A place to visit for sure.
Yep. Definitely, and especially if you're gonna be searching for any paranormal stuff, don't get what's the word?
Your hopes up?
No, not discarded.
Discouraged.
Yeah, don't get discouraged if you don't catch any evidence. I think our theory is holding water where Tim and Dutch might be like guardians and protectors of this area.
Yeah. Which definitely, for all the tragedies here, you wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it.
Even looking down all the valleys and stuff, not a single negative part. Alright, well that does it for this episode. Thanks for checking it out.
Yeah.
Till next time, make sure to come back.
Thanks, guys.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Huz Ghost Stories. Again, this might be the most special episode because going to the almshouse out in Fairview, PA.
Markers, and this was a potter's field that was abandoned. So these weren't only just destitute people forgotten in real life, they were forgotten in their afterlife.
Oh, and like Sean said, hearing the story, you definitely get the emotions right away. These are spirits that were never respected from pretty much the day they were born, way past the day they died.